Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about all sorts of sword tech in Duck Game, and hopefully this guide should cover, I think, every sword tech in the game that is currently discovered. Hopefully I won't need to make a part 2, and I'm sure you'll learn something new, even if you are an experienced player. To start off, I'm going to be talking about the basics, so just like normal intuitive sword tech, that shouldn't be very complicated. So firstly, if you hold down shoot, your sword will go into stab, and this will kill any duck it comes in contact with, provided they are not wearing armor, because it won't work if they are wearing armor, as shown here. And it will just push them. And so, normally a sword will kill any duck if swung over them, but in the case of armor, it will reduce the armor's HP. The armor has invisible HP, so swinging the sword will break the armor's HP, and then once the sword hits the duck's unarmored parts, it will kill them. And this invisible HP regens over time pretty fast. I can also use the sword to push the duck around. So if I go into a slide, you'll see I can push the duck, and that's because he hit the tip, he died, because he hit the top of the sword, which will still kill them. But I can push the duck's body around, and if he's still alive, I can push him around. So you see I can just push them off. Just like that. Also, throwing the sword will also kill the duck, just like that. And if they have armor, then the sword will just bounce off of them. But you can get around this by throwing it farther away. So you see, if I throw it far away, it eventually goes into a slide. And because the duck's feet are unarmored, you can just get into a slide, which will kill the duck's feet. Or hit the duck's feet, which will kill the duck. So another feature of these swords is you can block bullets. And so this works for basically any bullet. So that includes like pistols, in this case like snipers. It even works for grenade launchers. But the only problem is if the bullet hits too low, then it can hit your feet and the explosion can kill you. And it can also block mag blasters, but it will only block them in a pogo. And I'll show that later. So here, all you want to do is just press down without pressing anything else. And so that will put me into a like blocking stance, or if you slide, it also works. And I just keep holding down in this case. And so if the duck that's shooting at you is standing normally, pressing down, like crouching or sliding works. But if the duck is in a slide, then blocking just doesn't work because it will just go below your sword. So in this case, I can crouch to block, or I can slide to block, and both of those work. However, if the duck is in a slide like this, then even sliding will still get you killed, and even like anything like crouching, because it goes below your sword. So overall, this method is not super useful, especially if people know how to counter it, but it still can get the job done. So here, for example, if the gray duck fires, I can block the bullet with my sword, but if it gets too far, like it hits my feet, then I'm just screwed and I just die. There are a few other things in terms of sword blocking and stuff that I forgot to mention. So number one is if a duck were to walk into someone's like blocking stance sword, then you'll get bounced off. And then another thing is if I were to throw the sword, provided it doesn't go under the legs like that. That never happened. But yeah, if you were to throw a sword, it can just the blocked like stance sword will just block it, and don't worry about that. That never happened. Also, you are able to catch thrown swords. So, for example, it's very difficult if there's like any ping whatsoever, because then it just becomes almost impossible because it's very tight timing, especially if the sword's traveling quite fast. But if someone were to throw it at you, then you can grab it. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about less intuitive like methods This is the most useful method. It's called the sword stab, and it's super useful because it's way better than just holding down shoot. Because holding down shoot, it will just push the duck. It won't actually let me kill the duck. And in this case, it broke the armor because I hit it enough times to reduce the armor's HP. But that's really slow, and it's hard to kill a duck that way. So how it works is you want to crouch and then press the opposite direction you're facing. So in this case, you want to press left, or if I'm facing this way, I'll press right. So you press left, and then you press shoot, and it just does a stab, and then you can release all your other buttons, and all you need to hold is shoot. And so this will let me stab the duck, and it will go through any armor, as long as it's in a sword stab. And the main thing to keep in mind is if the sword stab hits a wall, it will disappear. Just like any stab hitting a wall, it will go away. So you can use strafe, which is very useful. And if you don't have that bound or know what that is, holding strafe will make you face the same direction, even if you're moving in the opposite direction. So like right now I'm holding strafe, and right now I'm not holding strafe. So it's very useful, especially if you're like going up against like a corner or whatever, someone's like running at you and you just want to strafe up against the wall. Because if I didn't have strafe, then I'd have to walk like this, and then like I can't really get close to the wall while holding the stab. And my best hope would be doing something like this, and then that's as close as I could get. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is different types of stabs. So if you notice, when you crouch and you press back, your sword goes through this whole motion. And so there's actually like 3 or 4 different stabs you can get inside this motion. So if you press shoot at different times after you press back, you can get different angles in the stab. So that's like the shallowest angle that's not like a flat sword stab. So you see the difference. And then there's like the 45-degree angle. And it just depends how fast you press shoot after you press back. And so the most useful one, aside from just the normal sword stab, is the vertical stab. So it requires you to press both buttons at the same time, just like that. What's nice about it is you can go next to walls and stuff. But the most nice thing is if, let's say, the gray duck is up here, like holding a stab. Like there's some maps where there's like limited openings where you can go, and so the gray duck will like be preventing you from going out. But what you can do here is if you hold this stab and you flutter, you see it like goes behind my head like that. So I can jump and flutter and hit the duck's ankles, and he can't like hit me from down here. And it looks like you can also just hit him through the wall, because fluttering with the stab will just allow you to, like, it's long enough to just stick through the entire wall, which is very useful. And it gets even better than this also, because you can just sword stab through the wall normally. So if it's just like a normal wall shot, and if you're not sure how to wall shot, check out my video on that. But this is super easy. It takes no skill. All you need to do is press strafe. And so what you need to do is just do a normal stab, and then go strafe up against the wall and just turn. Just press the other direction. And you see the sword will go through the wall. And so anyone that's standing against it will die. And this is super useful because you can turn way faster than someone can wall shot. So if someone's going up to your like wall with like a gun and they're going to wall shot you, you can just turn and like bait them into you, and it's very useful. Okay, so the next useful attack I'm going to talk about is for swords is pogoing. And it's pretty cool. All you need to do is when you're jumping, just press crouch and then shoot. So if you're in the air and you're crouching and you just press attack, your sword will go downwards into a pogo. And this is cool because you can bounce like a block higher. Like normally if I jump, I can't get up here, even if I like, try to ragdoll at the end. But if I pogo, that gives me an extra block of height, so I can just ragdoll and get up here. Or like if the top block isn't there, normally I still wouldn't be able to jump up there. I mean, like I could jump and then ragdoll, but in this case I can just do a pogo and I would have no trouble getting up. So it's nice because it gives you an extra block, and it will pierce armor, so you can come from above, which is nice. So it's just like a sword stab, but it's like straight down. And so if you want to chain Pogos together, all you need to do is just move forward while you're in the air, and then just crouch and like uncrouch when you're moving forward, and then just recrouch and shoot, and then you can just release crouch after that. So you're only crouching when you want to do the Pogo. And so now I just want to talk about some more like hidden Pogo mechanics that you can do that like revolve around spikes. And so firstly, whenever you're in a Pogo, the game checks, like normally you can just Pogo over spikes and you won't die because you don't hit the spike. But what actually happens is when you're actually Pogoing, the game checks if you're in a Pogo, and then it will make spikes ignore you. So you can actually do is just Pogo straight through spikes, and you actually won't die at all, even though you're like hitting them. And then you can use this to just land on spikes. So let's say there is no like ground right here and I can't just go through the platform. What you can do is if you cancel your Pogo like a few frames before you hit the spikes, the game still thinks you're in a Pogo and so will allow you to land on spikes, even though you're still not. So how you can do this is if you just press back, and I press back while I'm in a Pogo, like that. Just like that. And so this tech is very precise, and so it just requires you to just press back like a few frames before you would hit the spikes. And it's honestly quite difficult, so it's hard to learn. But if you can learn it, then it's quite useful in certain maps. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about sword climbing, which is probably one of the most useful sword techs outside of just like the basic sword stab. And so it allows you to just traverse the map way easier and get around. And so how it works is there's two methods, and then you can like combine them together once you get a little good at them. So the first method is you want to start with a Pogo. It just uses the two techs we've already learned, so which is Pogos and sword stabs. So how you want to do it is you just want to do a Pogo, and then just do a bunch of sword stabs very fast while you're going up inside the Pogo. And so, like in terms of the buttons you want to press, because I'm on keyboard, I mean, it's the same thing, but sword stabs are generally harder on controller because you can't like press the exact keys as well unless you're using like D-pad. But what you want to do is just Pogo, and then when you're going up, press away from the wall, and then spam shoot a bunch of times. So it looks something like this. And on the wall, it just looks like this. And as long as you're spamming shoot at like a fast enough pace, like you can go kind of slow, and then you can also go really fast. And then that will change how fast you go up the wall. But if you're not going like, if you start going down at all, then you can't do the stab anymore. Like if I'm falling, stabbing the wall is not going to do anything. But I can go pretty slow. And also, it works as if you get any way to like go up fast. So like, the reason we start with a Pogo is because it allows us to get a nice amount of vertical velocity like upwards. But if you have like a spring or something that boosts you upwards, you can also just start doing it from there. For the second type of sword climb, I would say, I don't say it's like especially easier or harder. It's just different. So how it works is you just want to flutter. So if you flutter like this and press down, you see how my sword goes like out? And so what this means is if I press shoot when it's like this, I can also do a Pogo because I'm crouching. But it goes like in like a little claw where it goes forward first. And so if you do this on the wall, then you can go up. And the nice thing about this is although it's slower, you can do this even if you're falling, and you can get very good at it and like very like maneuver around, which is very nice. And also I'm pretty sure on thinner walls you can like when you're doing the stab, like on office walls for example, the sword actually goes through the wall. So on this map with the office blocks, which are like one of the thinnest blocks in the game, you can actually go through if you're doing this method, the sword will go through the wall. Fortunately, it won't kill the duck that's standing there. It will just push them out of the way, which is very interesting. Like, it's just like an interesting interaction. But what you can do is, if you are more comfortable with the inputs, you can do like a sword stab and turn around and kill them through the wall. What's nice about, like, once you get good at both methods is when you do a stab like this, you can just chain it with the other one, because this allows you to go up from, even if you're going down, but the other one doesn't. But this one gives you enough vertical velocity to just go up. So like if you're falling, you can just do the second sword stab and do like this one, and then immediately start stabbing the wall very fast, just like that. And yeah, and you get, once you just need a little bit of practice to get good at these stabs, and it's, once you have them down, it's very useful. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about sword clipping, which is very useful. I think this is like about the only clip you can do with this sword. And so how it works is you just need to do the fast sword stab, like up to the ceiling of a wall. And then you want to stop, so like do this, and then you want to stop holding down. So once I stop holding down, then I'll go into the wall. And sometimes, like you saw, you'll just fall away from the wall like that. And then there's some walls it won't work on, like pyramid walls. So pyramid walls, and there might be a few others. And it works most of the time. So yeah, once you stop holding down, then you go into the wall. And so if I'm on the right side here, then I can throw my sword. And if I throw my sword, it's going to just fall out of the wall on the other side. And if I ragdoll here, then I'll just go out of the wall over here also. And it should work on both sides. And on some maps it works better, because some maps you can't actually get outside the map by going on this side, or you'll just fall out. But yeah. If you do it on the left side, then you'll go up. You'll have like I think it's like a 50% chance, or like a 75% chance. You have a pretty good chance to go up. If you throw your sword, it's just going to fall out like this. And if you ragdoll, you have a chance to go up through the ceiling of the map. And you have a chance to go back out where you came from. But yeah, it's pretty much the same. Okay, so the last type of sword climb I'm going to talk about is much harder. I would say it's less useful, but it's not super applicable. I mean, it kind of is if you get good at it, but it is definitely much harder. And I'm pretty sure it only works to this side, although there might be some information that I'm missing for why it doesn't work facing the right. But if you notice that if I'm trying to do like the slow sword climb on the left side, and I hold back, so in this case I hold right, you'll see that my sword points upwards. And if I spam shoot, just like doing a fast sword climb, then I can kind of stick to the ceiling. But it is much harder to do. You see like that. And it takes more consistent timing. And I'm pretty sure you can just do this kind of anywhere. It's like if the ceiling was one lower, maybe. But you have to be going up. It's just like the other sword climb. But yeah, it just looks like that, and it allows you to stick to the ceiling. But it is very hard to keep going. It's not like as consistent as this one, where you can just spam slowly. And like, for example, also for this, you can do it when you're in a slide. Like if you just, if you slide jump Pogo, then you can do like the sword stab in a slide. The only difference here is you can't do the clip with it. So like if I stop holding down, I'm not going to clip into the wall. But it does give you a smaller hitbox. But you see, if I try to do it on this side, it won't work. Because even if I hold like right, or in this case if I hold left, it doesn't make my sword go up at all. But if I hold left here, it will. So I just want to go over something I literally just discovered as of like 3 seconds ago. So what's something really cool you can do with the like upward stab is you can climb a right wall while facing the other way. So if you just do a normal pogo, just like this, and then release crouch, and so wait, this is what it looks like. But yeah, if you want to replicate it, all you need to do is pogo, release crouch, and then what I do is I press all three, like I press jump. You need to press jump to have your sword up in the air. You need to press crouch to get it into that position, and you need to press back so it actually goes up. See, like that? So I just press all three buttons at the same time, although you might want to do some in different orders. But yeah, you just need to do it while your pogo is going up. And once you're up here, it's the same exact consistency as like a normal sword stab, like this. It feels the exact same. So you are actually able to sword climb just on a flat ceiling. I found it works best for heights that are just for this height, for your exact jumping height. This is exactly 5 blocks. So I think it works best for this because it allows you to pogo and have enough time to cancel your pogo right as you hit the ceiling. And so what you want to do is you want to pogo, yeah, then immediately uncrouch, and then recrouch, hold up and back. And you want to hold back after you crouch, because if you hold back before, then you're going to move, and crouching, it prevents you from moving when you hold a direction. So it's basically identical to this clip, or to this climb, where you do something like this. And so it's like the same thing, you just want to do it here, and it allows you to get stuck to the ceiling. So I hope you enjoyed part 1 of all sword tech and duck game, and if you have any questions, leave a comment, or and if you have any suggestions for anything you'd like to see in part 2, also leave a comment, anything that you think I might not know or might leave out. But I will release part 2 tomorrow, and that's going to contain stuff about impossible stabs, pawn, and other more hidden sword tech. So keep an eye out for that. Keep on duck gaming. Peace.